You are far larger than you think. There's nothing casual about this moment. It's just profound. If you can allow the feeling in you and the emotion to swell up in whatever way, in maturity, in purpose, in peace, when you leave this place, I want you to have something you didn't expect. I want you to feel good about everything. And you'll say, well, how can I feel good about everything? You can if you understand the big picture. Why not? It's inside you. You have reached a point, old soul, that is the payoff. You got past the big one. That place in history that was the marker that said if you pass this, you're on your way. Your life is much bigger than you think. Now, I don't want to push the envelope of perception, but some of you, I want you to think even beyond today. Your Akashic record goes into the future. A record to you can only be past. A record to us is a record of everything, including the future. All of you have lifetimes in front of you, and if I could show them to you, there would be such joy in this room, a release in this room, an overwhelming cry in peace in this room, because you'd see what's coming. You'd see a development in you. You would see the things you have always asked for in all the lifetimes you've ever had embodied in where you're going. That's the potential of the old soul. We see that. And everything you're going through right now is so small compared to that. This planet is headed for places you cannot even fathom in maturity. I said it before. Peace on earth is a given. This is where you're headed. This is what humanity is wanting, if you noticed. For the first time in history, in recorded history, overwhelmingly, you don't want war. Overwhelming. You don't want to separate and fight. Overwhelmingly. You want to find answers. Young people will rise up and demand it if you don't give it to them. There's a phrase by a very wise person that said, what if you gave a war and nobody came? And that is what you are going to be faced with. Old versus new energy is already erupting on this planet. You've got a war of attitude, dark and light. Evolvement in thinking and consciousness against old energy. That's what you got. You're in the forefront of that. And in this room, you seekers, I will tell you, the seeking has paid off because it brings you here to hear truth. Now, what you do with it next is still free choice. I want you to feel it. Don't listen to me. Validate it right now. Number one, is it a mistake you're here? No. Number two, are you really as big as we're saying? Yes. I want you to feel it. I want your answers. I'm giving you mine. Number three, is there a plan? Yes. Number four, are you part of it? Yes. Number five, is the overwhelming plan filled with benevolence, love, and purpose and joy. Yes. You are building a new planet. Can't you feel it? Intuitively, I want you to feel your next life, young person. It's coming. You'll have plenty of time on the planet. But it's not over. And you'll be back, and you'll be back, and you'll be back. Because you're building a future that no one ever thought. No anthropologist is going to believe this. No sociologist will ever believe it. And those listening to this channel who are invested in the dark side and doom are going to be so critical of what I'm saying. So I have a message for them. When the doom doesn't happen, what are you going to do? Invent new doom? Or maybe I'm right. You're the forerunners of an ascended planet. And when that happens, in the far future, far, far future, I want to come back and ask you how you liked it. As you seed another planet. Because you will be the ones who carry the seeds. You're bigger than you think. I want you to take this with you. And don't let anybody beat it up. Don't let one human being point at you and say you got it wrong. I want you to feel it. And in the feeling, you'll know. I am Kryon in love with humanity. And so it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. And once again, my partner steps aside. We described it before, a process that honors the human being. A process which requires that the human being remain where he is and shares the experience so he will feel it and know it. But he removes himself from the three-dimensional portal of the pineal. For in the moments that this takes place, it is not a gland. It is a meta-dimensional, multi-dimensional, beyond-dimensional portal. And it allows that which is the creative source inside you to expand. It is channeling. It is available. Always has been. In this new energy, however, it is available for the new information, the new thought, in new processes which are coming your way. And before we begin the message, and anything that is going to be taught in any combination, I just want to take a moment. What is your perception of what's going on here? Is it possible that there is an intelligent source in your universe, in your galaxy, that has helped put together what you see here? Is it possible that there is a plan that is benevolent to the human being because the human being is part of that creative source? Is it possible that you're never alone? And we've said those words for many years. Is it possible that the family is a little different than you think? Maybe it's even larger than you think. Is it possible that the message I'm about to give you is accurate, true, and real from a source that we claim to be not from this body of this human being? It took him a long time to understand that there was no trick here. It took him a long time because the box he came out of said there would be. That the box said there are consequences for what you're doing. that God doesn't talk to humans this way, that it could be a trick, and that the darkness of the planet wishes to invade your soul. And he learned quickly that every single time he opened this gland, and the pineal became the portal for the higher self, he got the love of God. That's all he got. And it's pure. The purest thing he has ever experienced. It is always the same. It has never tainted itself. It has never biased itself. It has never told a human to do something out of integrity. It is always congratulatory. More than benevolent. It's family. Never changing. 23 years. That's the way it should be, dear ones. And if you need some kind of proof that this is real, maybe, just maybe, you would open that part of your heart that you have the ability to open and say, I would like to feel something. I would like perhaps some validation within my cells that this is correct. And you would begin then to feel the chills that you can only get when you know the truth is being revealed. And the truth is, I know you. I know your lives. I know what you're going through. Oh, soul, you are known to me. We have done so much together. You have not seen my face or my name. I'm with you all the time. And when I say I mean the entourage, which is in that, which you would count them to be trillions, knowing who you are, standing with you in the hardest times you have, through the tears, through the sorrow, and celebrating in those moments where you choose to toast victory. And sometimes the victory is health, and sometimes the victory is solutions over problems you had for a lifetime. We know you are. You're never alone. There is a system that my partner has taught about for years. It's a system we have mentioned in countless channels. But we've never really dedicated a channel to this system in the way we're doing today. That includes the new energy of today, because this is a system most of you don't even know how to use. Some of you use it all the time. You just don't know what you're doing. It's not intuitive. It's going to be the truth about synchronicity, and we'll subtitle it The Demise of the Bell-Shaped Curve. When something happens to you that is good, your friends around you will say, what a lucky person you are. What are the chances that this would have happened to you? When you go into a difficult situation, and perhaps it's even something that is common to humanity and in your culture, like surgery, and you will come out with such marvelous results, and they'll say, well, this is beyond our expectations, and what lucky person you are. And then you do it over and over. Or you go someplace and you meet just the right person who knows somebody else who just has the right information, and you end up with exactly what you wanted. What are the chances, they'll say, of this taking place? What a lucky person you are. Because humans do not see the structure of synchronicity. They see a structure of planning, forward-looking. And that is the only way you can achieve things. And in that puzzle, they even will mention positive thought. But that still is planning in a linear fashion so that you will arrive at a goal. And no matter what kind of process you have studied that will get you from A to B, there's got to be a goal. And in some of those, you will take the goal and you will paste it upon the refrigerator so you'll see it every day. And this is a linear human being. What if I told you there is a process that is not linear, that has no goal at all? Not one in linearity, but one in conceptualism. A conceptual goal that says, dear God, put me in the right place. I don't know where it is. Dear God, when you do it, make it comfortable for me. Let me see the sense of it. Make it easy. And bring me the right situations to take me there. How about that? And if you told that to someone off the street, they would say, you must be New Age. For it is not logical. For you sit in a place where you're expecting God to do everything. No, you're not. And that is the subject of today. No, you're not. You are simply changing the box of belief to include something that is not in 3D, but that some of you have been using for a very long time. You're just not aware of it. So today's lecture, that's what we're calling it. My partner liked that. Is about the power of synchronicity, the truth about it. What it is, where it comes from, who's involved in it, and what you can do to promote it. The human being creates it in their belief, and that is how it starts. Now, this comes from my partner who loves to talk about the parking angel. Because this is the example he uses, so we'll do the same thing. Many light workers love to use that which they conceive as a special angel which has powers with cars. And that special angel will sit above the car, raise himself up, and see in a giant parking lot who is pulling out and where it's taking place. And you will assign your power to the parking angel, and you will find where somebody is pulling out, and it works. Now, this is not forward planning, is it? It is a different concept. It's a concept that you could place yourself, or an angel which becomes your eyes, far above the parking lot to see the parameters of the entire lot and what is going on with everyone at the same time. And if that were possible, then you, in 3D, could direct your automobile to the right aisle and the right place to find that space at the right time, especially if you're in a line with others, to arrive when somebody is pulling out. And it works. Over and over it works. It works because this is the definition of synchronicity. Not planning ahead, but a concept that you assign and believe in that requires an overview of a situation that you cannot have in 3D. Synchronicity. Now, I cannot close this parking angel attribute without giving you the rest of the story that my partner demands I give you. There is no such thing as the parking angel. It's you assigning your power to a mythological creature with a P on its chest. And humans are very good at this. They don't believe they can do it, but they believe angelic powers can do it. Therefore, they assign their power away. It's you doing it, dear one. It's you doing it. You just don't believe it. So here we are with the example. It's the same one we've given over and over, my partner has given, that I've encouraged him to give because it is the one that so many of you understand. Now let us put that in a larger capacity. The scale of life and living. Here you find yourself in a situation where you wish to move forward into an area you don't know about. All you want to do is park. And when you park, that is a metaphor for putting the vehicle of the human being in a place that is appropriate for your life, wherever that would be. It gets you there so you can move on with what you came for. That is the metaphor. Humans have an idea where that would be. It's normal for you to build goals. I want to write a book. I want to create a healing center. I have this. I want to have that. It is absolutely normal. The first question I have to ask you is, are you okay if it is not what you think? Is it okay if it's better? Is it okay if it matches the Akash you came for? And the talents you have that perhaps you're not even aware of. Here's how it works. This is the how in 3D. You come to a meeting like this and you meet somebody for the first time. You didn't come with them. You meet them in a place in the back or in the bathroom. And you get to talking and you find out you have common interests. And then anything can happen. They have information you need. Or you have something they need. And you leave with a connection you didn't expect. And the connection leads to something else. For they know people that you don't know. Vice versa. You would call them, meet with them, if you wish. And here comes something that you didn't expect. You find yourself working in an area you didn't expect to work in, that fulfills a lot of the things that you wanted. Sometimes you come with no expectations at all, and you meet a partner of life. This happens over and over because you decided to come to where family is. Over and over, human beings have resigned themselves to being alone because nobody believes what they do. And they'll come to a meeting of like minds and find somebody that does. Life's changes, romance, synchronicity. They didn't plan it. You see the difference? The human who steps out of the door on a way to this meeting, what do? I'm getting ahead of myself. What do? It's going to be a good meeting. Let's give it energy. Let's show up. Let's have a good time. Let's leave. Or, dear Spirit, if I'm supposed to meet somebody, then let me have the wherewithal to at least look for it. Do you see the difference here? One is planning. One is expecting concepts that you cannot define. Concepts you cannot define, which would guide your life into a place you didn't expect. I am sitting in a room with old souls, and at least a quarter of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're here because of it. Somebody showed you something that turned you around. It made you look, didn't it? It didn't give you a doctrine, did it? It made you look. Can you put a price on that? It made you look into a place that said, am I divinely built? Could my biology have something bigger in it? Something called innate, which is intelligent and knows who I am and works with me when I ask it to. A consciousness within a consciousness. It would hook me up with synchronicity. Way beyond average. Way beyond the bell-shaped curve. So I just gave you the scenario that can happen over and over in meetings like this, in small gatherings, in large gatherings. I'll get to what was required in a minute. Now let us talk about how it works. And these are things that we have discussed seldom, and never in a package like this. And we've got to talk first about the majesty of the human being. It wasn't that long ago we gave you a channeling called the 9 energies of the human being. It's what I want my partner to begin teaching. It's esoteric, it's complex, it's time. And there are conceptual parts of the attributes that must be taught that go beyond what a human being is used to hearing, even in these meetings. And here is one of them. If it's true, dear one, that you are a part of the creative source, do you then logically understand that your soul, if you wish to call it that, is enormous, and only a piece of it is inside your biology. If all of it were there, you'd vanish. You'd turn into light itself, more than the power of the masters of humans. You'd have that which Elijah and Elisha saw together and experienced. Vaporization of cellular structure because the power of God cannot live in a human being at full strength. Do you understand? And if you understand this, you will understand that you are only having a piece of what is you, that is the Creator, in your body. And so here is what begs another question. Where is the rest of it? It's with me. It's on the other side of the veil as part of the creative source. It never left. Now here is what is difficult in your box. You carry around a corporeal identity which is singular. We have said this before, and you're really not. You are part of a group which is God. A piece of you separates out and becomes corporeal. That's one body with one face and one, what you would call, life. This is how you see things. Now let me tell you, the truth is you are a multidimensional being, and part of you is on the other side of the veil, which you call God. Get used to it. It is not separated out. There's not a soul somewhere with your face on it on the other side of the veil, tapping its toe, waiting for the rest of it to come home. There are humans who believe this because all they can do is project their linearity onto the majesty of God. We've talked about that. So get used to the fact that there is a quantum God and a linear human being, and you cannot put them together easily. You're part of the soup, which is God. And that part looks down upon you and is always available. Always available. Just like the parking angel. It sees everything. Imagine a piece of you. Let's put it in your 3D. It's a spy in the sky. It looks at everything all the time. It knows who you are, everything about you, because it's part of you. It broadcasts information to you which you receive through intuitive thought. Are you here? Are you understanding? It gets you to get up and go places if you're listening. And here is what you need to know. Every single human being on the planet has it. Because every single human being is a part of the whole. You understand that? What happens, however, if there's a broadcast and 90% of the people don't have a radio? They don't get it. The broadcast is still there with their name on it. They don't have a radio because they don't believe it. And then here comes you. Some of you got your radio a long time ago, and some of you are just getting it now. You're believing it exists. The radio is the pineal gland that opens up into a multidimensional portal and tunes right in to that which is you. And that is hard for a human being to understand. And it guides you left and right. It knows who you are. It's benevolent. It's part of God. It's part of me. It's hard to explain. It's why it feels so good, dear ones. You ever wonder why it felt so good? It's you. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. If you're part of the creative source and you are quantum and multidimensional, it means that God has your face on it. And will never lead you into a place for other reasons other than benevolent and beautiful. And that's the system. Now let's come back to where were you when you decided to come to this meeting, and what was it about? Some of you are sitting here today and you didn't know about the meeting until the last minute. I want to tell you, you're tuned in. Your radio's working. Because the intuitiveness spoke to you enough for you to look someplace, do something, go somewhere, and find out this was happening. Now I'm going to ask a magic question. Don't feel too bad, but who haven't you met in the room? And that is a big one. You can't meet everyone, can you? Now we're getting into the process of synchronicity. And the process is guided through intuitive thought, through what you call the innate intelligence of the body to be in the right place at the right time and talk to the right people. And you can't plan ahead for that, can you? You have got to be tuned to it. Some of you have. You've discovered things today here that will make a change in your life. You met others. It's what it's about. So when the human being says to you, you must be New Age, you just believe these things are going to happen. No, you don't believe that at all. You're going to work for it. You're going to fine-tune intuitive thought, listen to it as much as you can, that puts you in the right place at the right time. Dispelling the notion that a New Age person just sits at home doing nothing, waiting for God to speak to them. That is not the way it works. You stand up and you move around. You may go places that don't have anything for you at all. You just had to learn to use the intuition. Was it right? Was it not right? What does it feel like when it's right? What does it feel like when it's not right? Put that together. Pretty soon, like any other muscle in the body, it starts to work better for you. Innate works with you to fine-tune it. Then you can look around the room and say, yes, no, 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 yes, yes, yes. And know who you're supposed to talk to, perhaps who you're supposed to meet. Understand the family is one. But there are those within the family that have got something for you. They'll vibrate different because they do. You'll see it in their eyes. That is intuition at its best. But wait till you see it returned. When you look at somebody and they look back, and you can say, hello, old friend, it's good to see you. And you might hug for a moment or shake hands, depending upon the culture, and know that you've just met a best friend again. And they may have something, may not. It just may be for a moment, so you could intermingle in a quantum way and acknowledge the fact that you are old souls. And that's good enough. The hardest thing for humans is what I'm going to say next. The process is different than you think. We have established first, it's not linear. That it is a conceptual attribute that you cannot plan on, and the timing is not known, and you cannot post a goal on your refrigerator. So it requires the human being in faith with no clock. That's number one. We've established that the information comes from that which is a lot of you on the other side of the veil, because you cannot hold all the mastery that you have in the corporeal body. And you are part of the creative source and always will be. Part of you is on my side of the veil. It's the part that talks to you intuitively that says, go left, go right, stand up, sit down, go over there and meet that person. Now the next one, it's hard. How do we describe it? Got 7 billion souls on the planet. And they all have the same attribute as you do. All of them. And they're all on the other side of the veil as well as being here. All of them. And they're all talking at the same time and broadcasting things. But they broadcast them. These things they're broadcasting with the mind of God because they're on my side of the veil. Are you understanding this? So if they have a corporeal self which is completely and totally unaware and has no radio, it doesn't make any difference. They're still broadcasting what's going on from the eye in the sky. And that means you can listen to them as well. They're tuned to your frequency. They'll tell you where not to go. They'll tell you things that intuitively will help guide you and help you. Now that you don't understand. Again, in singularity, you're hooked up to one soul, you, right? On my side of the veil, right? No. You're hooked to all of them. And they're all benevolent at the same time. And so therefore, even the soul parts and pieces of complete non-believers are still broadcasting information that will help humanity and you and the ones who are not listening. And you're getting guidance from all. A hard concept.
So it's not just for you to be here and there. It's also for you to stay away from here or know what's developing over there. Intuition starts to grow and you become really, really lucky to other human beings. Wow, people say, look at that tragedy they escaped. Why did you leave the building before it fell down? And they will say, I don't know. Something said to go. And they did. And it happens over and over and over and over. Is it possible that the human soul is connected in such a way that it talks to everybody at the same time, and the ones with the radios are picking it up? And they are old souls. What are you supposed to do with this information? Well, we've already covered a little of it. Understand the process and believe it. That's first. Do not get disappointed that the planning is not working. You can't have both, dear ones. You can't have plans in the corner just in case the synchronicity doesn't show. Because you'll avoid the synchronicity if you do it. Do you see that? Second one. Understand that synchronicity may take you to a place you didn't plan on. Is it okay? And the old soul will sit in the chair will say, yes, it's okay, anything. Really? Really? Because humans like it their way. You get pushed and pulled to uncomfortable situations and places. Can you honor where you are and say, it is well with me. This is where I know I'm supposed to be here because this is where synchronicity placed me. And you can feel the love of God surge through your brain and your heart and all the cells of your body when you say that. Thank you, God, you say, for putting me in the right place at the right time. Let me tell you something. Your goal will never be accomplished. Is that okay? You'll always be in motion. Always. There'll always be the ladder to climb in knowledge, in awareness, in energy. New things coming your way, always. To the moment where you take your last breath, you will never have arrived. And you don't like that either, do you? You want to come to a place and say, I made it. This is where I belong and I don't have to work much anymore. Old souls always are working. You have to just throw that away. And it's got to be good enough. Because that's why you're here. Synchronicity can put you in places that are beautiful. It can save your life. It will save your life. It voids all the karmic attributes that have pushed and pulled you forever. It changes the way people think about you because you change. It changes the way you think about others because you're put into places to see who you are. It rearranges that which you believe because you start to have reinforcement of action that is working. And you can stand tall and tell somebody you have no idea where you're going and you're proud of it. And you're healthier than they are. And you're happier than they are. And you love people they won't. You see what I'm saying? This is a change. It's a change in everything that the human being has been taught in 3D. And it's not let go and let God. It is a partnership that's a new arrangement that's conceptual and demands work on your part. Demands it. You've got to change how your brain works. And move into this place where before you leave someplace, you're going to look at it differently than you looked at this one. And you're going to say, if, then, that, I will. Help me with it. Expect synchronicity. And if it doesn't come, it wasn't supposed to. Humans are funny. Look at the phrases that everyone in your culture uses. Well, I guess it was supposed to happen. They have no idea. Or the universe had a message for me. They have no idea.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. But I've just given you the mechanics of it. It's beautiful. It's for you. Information is being broadcast all the time. Even from the non-believing souls, because they're on my side of the veil and they know this is for you as well. It helps you go from A to B. More than that, it helps you to run into processes and principles and people that have things that are going to marry to your Akash. This is what's new. There's going to be a beginning of a marriage, not just to help humans navigate humanity, but to navigate that which is coming. Setups for the next time around. Now, what do we tell you? The last time we spoke, Akashic inheritance. What you learn this time carries into the next. So the setups you have this time will carry into the next. You'll remember them, and you'll keep going. Today's synchronicity is tomorrow's future. It is that important that you start to learn how to use it and to carry it, how to expect it, how to believe in it, and change the way things work for you. It's part of this new teaching that we're saying. It goes beyond the bell-shaped curve, which says that in this room there's averages and that there are those who are better and worse at certain kinds of things. No. You can control it. All you have to do is nudge it a little. And it's called synchronicity. And it's not sequestered to you, old soul. Any single human being who wishes to get the radio. And the radio is the acknowledgement of the higher self and the fact that God is inside, a willingness to listen in a way they never have before to a source which is loving and beautiful and will never change. And so it is.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There would be those who would wonder about the process to the degree they would say impossible it is for a human being to switch this quickly from one side of the veil to the other, to be literally with one foot with a higher self. And I'll say this to you, the impossibility of it would only be there if the higher self did not want the human being to cross. You must know this, that as my partner spoke to you today about the love of God, this is the way of it. For God is the parent energy, and this parent energy sees you in your singularity and loves you in this fashion. We would give anything to void the rules of free choice, to show ourselves in a fashion that made you understand we're here. But on this planet of free choice, it is you who must open the door to us. We stand like the angels we are in your lives, walking the whole duration. At the point at which you are born on this planet, the angels surround the table, or they surround the pool, or they surround whatever it is that you have chosen to come in. And they stay with you. And in those beginning days, literally in those beginning weeks, you might see the infant with the wide eyes looking at the angels. The infant will point. Sometimes the infant will even smile, even in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Because the infant recognizes us. All of you did it. All of you did it. Indeed, in those early days, where there is so much change, in those early days when there's so much to get used to, and there's so much shift, being out of the womb. The angels are a comfort to the infant, and you all were there. And slowly that reality slips from you. Slowly. But all of you have seen it. When the infant looks into what you call empty space and is pleased with what they see. These are the same angels. They don't age, you do. That have been with you all your lives. They walk beside you. They came in with you. They'll leave with you. And if you never speak to them, they will say nothing. For that is the agreement. But oh, dear human being, if you just give us one little space of intent, and you say, dear God, show me that I'm loved, you open the floodgate. For this is when we enter your life to the degree you will allow us. This is when we will give you what you ask for. Begin the synchronicity. Begin the teaching. Begin the hand holding so there is no more being alone. Fill you up to such a degree that you will not be concerned with disease or age or drama. And all you will see is the promise of who you are. This has always been the way of it since the day we began. There are still those who wonder about the process, this process of channeling. It works when the channeler is clear. It works when the bias is set aside. It is the way of it and has always been the way of it. All scripture on the planet written by men. Take a look at how this works, human being. For you, by yourselves, are responsible for all the prophecy, for all the good things that you would find in those words that comfort you, you say are from God, all written by men and women. And so it is again that we come before you with information. The information given this evening for those who are in the room in what you would call real time, for those who are listening and hearing in what you call your future, know this. All of the information I give has at some point been given in the last 20 years. But we have never given you this synopsis, for we are starting to summarize subjects for simplicity, for clarity, so that they begin to be less obtuse, so they become more present in your reality. Plain speaking and plain words are the call of the day. But we don't want to start yet. How many of you in here are aware of what is also in here? Let the energy of this moment not be lost upon you, for this is real. What you hear here is not a human being pretending to channel. Let those in this place who are astute and who sense the energy of spirit look upon him now and see the colors that would betray the fact that this is actually happening. Feel the energy of spirit as it comes to you in a way that only spirit can, to prove to you that this is real. Feel those you've loved and lost in the room now. And this will show you that what is happening at this moment is as it seems. This is the gift. From our standpoint, the gift is that you would sit and let us wash your feet. And while my partner gives you information, The third language will be present in all the hearts here. And some of those who are listening will be touched as well. For we know who you are as your ears hear these words. For we see you there. And we see your faces, and we see the light that you have as well. Let the information given today be passed to many. This information we are going to call the lineage of DNA. From the start of DNA to today. The way it occurred on the planet, the way it works, and all of the things that you need to know around it to get you to the place where you can use it. And we must start where my partner started, even today in his lecture series. For much of this is as he mentioned. But for those who are not here, we start at the beginning. We start with history. Question has been asked, Kryon, why is it you speak of DNA? It is a biological attribute of the human body. It is the blueprint for the human genome. It writes all of the genes, over 30,000 of them. Why would you speak of this? You don't speak of molecular substances. You don't speak of chemistry. Why would you speak of DNA? Instead, speak to us about spiritual things. It has been said. The criticism has been put forward. The disappointment is registered. And there are those who don't understand why we speak of DNA. So let me tell you, dear one, if you are one of those, it is time to reveal your DNA is that which is the core element of who you are. If you had to pick a place where the higher self is, it's in your DNA. The Akashic record, the blueprint of everything you ever were, is there. All of the lifetimes, all of your spiritual growth, all of your talents are there. The karma that you came in with and that many of you have dismissed, the record of that is there. Some of you understand this to the degree that you know you were Lemurian. And if you were, and if you feel this way, you know of the incredible profundity of what's inside. That is the reason we speak of these things. And it's only been in the last few years that science has given you the proof of what we are going to speak of now. We have alluded to this in the past. And now we'll just say it straight out. Your DNA is over 3 billion chemicals strong. Each piece of DNA, which is a loop, has over 3 billion chemicals in it. A molecule so small that you need an electron microscope to see it has 3 billion parts. The Human Genome Project has revealed, however, that these parts are a mystery. And that only 3% do anything. And those 3% of protein encoded portion of the DNA chemistry produce over 30,000 human genes. It is the blueprint that you were looking for, but only 3% did anything. Over 90%, therefore, is a mystery. And the mystery continues, for there is no symmetry within the 90% of the chemistry. You can see no codes. It seems a random event has occurred, and some have called it junk. Some chemists are convinced that DNA is left over from the evolutionary process and is no longer used by the human being because there is no pattern, there is no code, it does nothing. And the rest of you, No better. Revolution and Mother Nature and Gaia all together are very efficient when it comes to human biology and to life in general, whether it's photosynthesis all the way to the human genome. They throw away things that are not used. It is not junk. I will tell you what it is. And in the revelation, yet again, I want you to ponder what it could mean. And that is this: 90% of your DNA is literally the quantum blueprint of your divinity. It is the quantum blueprint of your Akash. It is the record of all lifetimes, all things accomplished, all growth, all epiphany, all failure. For those of you who call yourselves Lemurians, it represents a vast amount of experience on the planet. Vast. All the way from the beginning, which we are going to speak of. Therefore, it is important that we speak of DNA. When 90% of it is literally the pattern which drives the 3%, think of it this way. 3% of DNA is the engine of the vehicle you ride in. 90% are the instructions for the engine. And in that 90%, dear ones, I would like to tell you, is human consciousness. And in human consciousness, there is your ability to talk to it, to control it, to work with it. One of the first things we ever told you is that humans are in charge of humans. They're in charge of the earth. Consciousness moves the earth. Consciousness is what is responsible for the vibration of the planet. And you have always, through human consciousness, been able to speak to your own DNA through the 90%, which is quantum. Human thought is quantum. So there is the workings of it, spoken in a clear fashion. And it's only because of the development of the human genome and the revelation of the 90% that seems to do nothing that we can speak now of what it really does. And it's going to make sense to science at some point in time. When they take a look at that 90% and they don't see it as coding, but they see it as engrams, as ways of sending modifiers to the 3%, which is the engine. There's a problem, however. It doesn't work well. It doesn't work at all, as a matter of fact. We spoke of this 1 month ago. We spoke of this 2 months ago. This is a review. Your cellular structure is weak. It does not represent what was given to you. Your immune system is horrible. Almost every disease on the planet goes right around it. Did you notice? You can't even stop a common cold. 90% of your DNA developed into a way to give instructions to the 3%, and yet the 3% can't do its job. And there's a problem here, you might say, and there is. For the 90% of your DNA that's supposed to be quantum is only at a 30% efficacy rate. That is to say, it's only 30% efficient. And we gave you that information some time ago. I'll give you the things we said then. Just briefly, I'll say this. How does it make you feel to know that you could have cancer in your system and your body will never tell you? You've got to go to another human and have a test to find out what your body is doing. What kind of a system is that? The self-diagnostics that have been built into the human being doesn't work. When a nerve is severed in your spinal cord, There's a chemistry that races to that area and keeps them from growing back together. Did you know that? Just the opposite of what you want. The starfish can grow back an arm, you can't. How does that feel, being the top of the evolutionary ladder? All of this because there is a DNA that is not functioning as it should. If you ever wondered about that, this is the fact. It does not function as it should. Let me take you back to the beginning. And here it is laid out so that anyone can see it and hear it, and all of the attributes of it. You need to hear it 100,000 years ago. There were up to 17 kinds of human beings in development, just like the variety of nature would call for regarding some of the other mammals. Just like there are hundreds of kinds of monkeys, just like there's a tremendous variety in so many mammals, animals, but not in the human being. But there was then. Go back with me 100,000 years, you'll see that documented. And then it happened. And some of you hearing this are not going to like this. This was the lecture of today. I give it to you again, for not all of you were here. Listen. A beautiful thing happened. Something happened by design. You were waiting for it when you were creating the planet, dear ones. When you were with me watching it cool down, you knew this would happen. So in the Milky Way, you have what you have called the seven sisters. 7 stars, one of whom has a planetary arrangement around it. And you have called this arrangement and those coming from it the Pleiadians. And these are the ones who visited Earth 100,000 years ago, and it didn't take them very long to get here. And the reason it did not is because this is a race that is quantum. That is to say, there is no time, there is no space, there is no distance. They willed themselves here and they appeared. It is an advanced race that is spiritual. It is graduate in nature. It is mature. It is beautiful. All of these things on purpose, and those who came changed the DNA of one kind of human being of the 17. They stayed for as long as it took. You should know that this took over 1,000 years. Slowly, all of the other kinds of human beings dropped away. Only one was left, the kind that was changed. The DNA was being altered. And this is the creation story, given to you on purpose in a beautiful way by Spirit. It was an anointed time. And I would like to tell you, souls who are here, long before Lemuria, when you looked upon this and you saw it and you knew it was good. The Pleiadian brothers and sisters look like you. They do not have lizard skins. They do not have strange arms and legs. They're a bit taller. But they look like you. And there'll come a day when it's proper and correct and appropriate when they show themselves, not in your lifetime. But when they do, they're going to look just like you. And you will know that what I say here is accurate and true, for they are watching as I give this message. They are smiling with the appropriateness of this message. Listen to me, there is no conspiracy here. No one did anything to Earth, to humanity. There is no control issue here. By design, on purpose, Spirit allowed them by invitation for this purpose. The only planet of free choice moved from the Pleiadians to this solar system. And Earth, literally, spiritually, was born. It's controversial. And those listening now, don't have to believe this. It is not critical to having your light shine on earth for this to be understood, but it is the truth. And if you wish to know where the seed biology came from, I just gave you that. But there are still those who wish to go with the mythology that God came and all at once presented a system to the planet. They would rather go with that. As my partner says, they like the talking snake story. But that's not how it worked. Slowly, the first civilization on the planet was born. And it was called Lemuria. And it was not an advanced civilization in the way you think advanced. But they had something you should know about. Their DNA was at 90%, not 30%. All the quantumness of their DNA was activated, for that is what the Pleiadians passed to them. The oldest civilization on the planet, the one that was the most long-lasting, that never had a war, was Lemuria. Broken up only because the oceans of the sea rose. They became seafaring as they had to be and always were, and moved to the edge of the Pacific Rim. They were the original society on the planet. They were the beginning. On the top of the mountain of the biggest island of Hawaii is where the canoes are buried. And they will tell you that in the lineage of Hawaii. The Pleiadians came there. That's where they landed first. That's where they began their work. Lemuria celebrated that, for they knew in their DNA all about the solar system. Did you understand that a quantum DNA working at 90% creates a consciousness that is one with the universe? One of the most ancient of spiritual beliefs on the planet asks you to be one with everything. It's not an accident. I'll get to that in a moment. The remnants of Lemuria are gone, covered by water a long time ago. You're not going to have proof of this. Not physically. Only if you go there. And you ask what is happening. And the ancestors will come to you and answer. And say, welcome home. It is controversial. It is not understood, it is not seen, history does not report it. Lemuria existed. Do not place so much attention on Atlantis. Atlantis was much, much later, and there were 3 of them. Which one do you want to talk about? They did not play near the role that those in metaphysics wish to assign upon it. Oh, it was important. One of them was so recent, off the Greek Isles, it's even reported within the history that you see. Humans have a dramatic interest in civilizations that get destroyed. Prompted you to look there, to consider it perhaps one of the first, one of the most advanced. It wasn't, and it wasn't. Lemuria was. Cast your eyes upon that if you want to see. It was not an advanced society. It had no technical abilities at all, and yet it knew how to heal with magnetics. It was in their DNA. You see, quantum DNA produces information, being one with the universe. They knew all about DNA, doesn't everyone? That's what a quantum DNA does. Right from the Pleiadians. The Lemurians knew much. They knew all about the solar system. They knew about the galaxy in general. They looked at the stars and understood what was there. Now, long after the Lemurians were gone, thousands of years, the ancients still had it. What you call today the beginning of civilization, which you don't even give credibility to, is 30,000 years, 40,000 years, maybe not even 10. That'll change. You look at those as the ancients, and I tell you, they knew about the stars. They knew about the galactic alignment coming. They knew about what is here. They knew about all of these things. This galactic alignment, which we say here is coming, we teach has already begun. You see it as 2012, we see it as 1998. Do the math, and you will find that you are sitting in the energy of this galactic alignment. A 26,000-year cycle that the ancients knew about. They still had DNA that was working in a quantum way. Without telescopes or computers, they knew. They knew about the solar system and all of these things. And so I ask you now, what happened? And so we reveal that you slid backwards, and you know you did. For free choice is honored. The splitting of Lemuria and the fragmenting of human society creates many ways that you might have said opportunities of losing what was a collective consciousness. And you did. And in this process, the DNA that used to be at a 90% level was reduced slowly back to 30. That's what you have today. And literally you started over. You did not have that quantum feeling, that knowledge, that intuition. You didn't know where your seeds came from. The Pleiadian experience was gone, was lost. Humans didn't understand astronomy. Humans didn't even think the earth was round. It went away. Almost like a reboot, a start over for all of you. And you pulled yourself up to where you are today, and I'm going to tell you what is different today. And with this, we almost are done. The lineage of DNA goes from a precious creation that was appropriate and accurate and true and not conspiratorial. No matter what any will tell you, on purpose, anointed and sacred, to a place today where it is beginning to be seen that way. And in that, the activation of your DNA is that which means you are beginning to increase it in a quantum fashion. There will be pieces and parts of the quantumness which can be activated before the other. You sit in a shift, you sit in an age you call New Age, and it isn't. It is a remembrance of the ancients. It is a return to a Lemurian state. And it's about time. This is what you call the new energy. The shift is upon you, and you begin to work with the DNA like the Lemurians did. Oh, human being, listen to me. This is the crux of why you're here. It is what we teach in this day, that the DNA, that quantum sacred part of you, is laying there ready to be enhanced with intent. And all that I brought in magnetic service to you was to service this planet in a way that the magnetics could then talk to your DNA and return you to a state at which you deserve. The Mayans spoke of it. This is the highest vibration that Gaia has ever seen. You sit in the ramp up of it. Bring human consciousness to match that vibration, and your DNA will start to increase in its efficiency. You're going to start to see it in many ways, and we've spoken of this as well. Go see these channelings where we told you there are some signs coming to show you that humans are evolving. And that evolvement process, starting with the indigo children, is about how much of the quantum DNA they are using. And the more you use, the less linear you're going to become. The more conceptual you will be. This is what you're doing. Here's something we've not spoken of before. The Lemurians lived a very long time. Self-diagnostics in the DNA created a human cellular structure which actually repaired itself. I'll tell you something that you would never, ever have expected. The Lemurian could grow back a limb. And I'm telling you, there'll come a time when you can too. And it won't be through modern medicine. It's going to be through thought, activation, consciousness. Know this, that you bring back an original energy, slowly, that was designed for today. It is time for you to return to the quantum state, which is the spiritual state, and it starts now. You fight a battle on the earth between old and new energy, and the new energy is winning. Make no mistake that the old energy will be with you for some time. And it's going to create issues with you as you clean up your economy. And you're not done. You will see the ways of a new paradigm of being, of structuring. And it's going to take some time. Do not fear what it will do. For it will emerge just like you knew it would emerge. One of the strongest on earth. Filled with integrity. A new paradigm that makes sense for a new age. Count on that. All part of a human evolvement in consciousness that you can see in your DNA. Kryon, is the scientist going to be able to put this under a microscope and see it? No, because the microscope is 3D. So I say to the scientist this, what I've said before, when you develop the quantum lens, you will see it. For you will actually see the chemistry in the 90% of DNA will glow under the influence of the quantumness, and you will know I'm right. And it will change colors with the activation, and you will be able to see it. But at the moment, you have no quantum lens. There is not any device for measuring the quantumness of the universe that exists on the planet. But you're getting close. When you do, the revelation will be in your biology. These are the things we wish to bring you today. These are the things of the teaching. And all through that, we've been hugging you. Why do we bring these things to you? To tell you, dear human being, that you have come full circle. You wouldn't have missed this. Dear human being, for those, listen to me. I know you. There will be a certain percentage of those in these next years who will come see me. There will be a transition, a life's transition, and when that occurs, know in all appropriateness how beautiful it is. An old soul, it's something you've done so many times you can't even count. And you will come back, and you will come back because you're not going to miss this. This is the shift you have asked for, you've waited for, and you're going to be born with a higher level of DNA efficacy than you'd left with. Watch these children develop even into a more frustrating group than they are now. And some of them will be you when you return. I wouldn't say these things unless they were accurate and true. See the clarity of the channel today. Feel in your own innate sense the truth of it all. And be aware that you are dearly loved. It is the reason we are here. We collect the bowls, metaphorically, of the tears we shed as we wash your feet. We invite you in the room now to carry on this energy of spirit. Let it sit with you for a moment before you rise and leave. Let it be known that this day, Spirit really was here to meet the brother and the sister, to wash your feet with our tears, that you would let us do such a thing as this, to be with you for an hour, and to love you like we are. And so it is.
So yesterday we went and connected with an animal guide, and I loved the sharing that people had with me about their particular connections, and some interesting things arose where one animal guide connected, but when they emerged outside it was a different animal. And so that is multidimensional, which is what Kryon keeps telling us to be. So don't be confused by that. Embrace that. If you have an animal guide that comes to you and then it becomes a different animal guide, just know that it is perfect in the moment that you need. And what I would like to do is to continue that connection that we have created with our animal guide, if that's okay with everyone else, to go in and connect and keep traveling with our animal guide. So with that, I invite you to go to that place where you connected with your animal guide and greet each other. Welcome, hello, thank you, I see you. Thank you for this beautiful connection we share. And once you've established that connection, let us continue our journey as we walk along a path and we come across a river. And the river is the river of learning. And there is a desire to cross this river of learning and arrive into the land of knowledge. And so together with your guide, what is the way that you are now going to cross that river of learning? Take a moment to work out how together you are going to cross that river of learning. And trust that those answers are already there. Because there's been many, many times you have crossed your own river of learning. And as you're in that river of learning and going through now, realize how easy it actually is to do that, especially that you have guidance from your animal guide helping you to do so. And so now as you come across the shoreline, you come up onto the land of knowledge. And what is that knowledge that you now have? Is it possible that within you, you have the ability to manifest and connect with the guides that you need for whatever situation you come across? And there is a willingness from the guides that come within you and the ones that come to greet you. For the animal guides, which are part of Gaia, are still a part of you. You came from the earth. You are made of carbon. Within you is the biology that grew from this planet. And so those animal guides that connect with you are part of you. And so here you stand in the land of learning, ready for the next lesson.
Allow yourself to extend the learning and the knowledge that you are receiving from your guide, as Monica so beautifully guided us, from the animals, from your own personal guide that emerged from you here in the valley, to also extend yourself more into the land, connecting yourself as we're sitting here all together in the slope of a beautiful area, looking over on the other side, this teardrop arch, and beneath us is the beautiful valley of Monument with its peaks and columns. The air is blowing softly, caressing us, loving us, welcoming us, greeting us, blessing us, just as we bless it back from our hearts in gratitude, with love, with our compassion, with our presence, our beingness here, just being together, honoring the sacredness of the community, the people, the souls that are the caretakers of this land, and their ancestors that came before them. And feeling more of that collective unity and connection we all share with all living beings, with all living souls, animals, and the plants and the rocks. They all have consciousness. They all have different levels, different forms of energies. And this is such a beautiful space. We can deepen our connection to Mother Earth, to Gaia, as Father Sky looking upon us and smiling, with the multidimensionality that exists in everything and everywhere. Breathe and allow yourself to feel even more your sacredness, your beauty, your magnificence, your light and divinity and connection to Source, to God, to Creator, to Spirit, that has no beginning and no end, that was always here and always will be, that love us unconditionally, beyond anything we could ever comprehend, but we can deeply feel when we allow ourselves to love ourselves more with our hearts. So breathe consciously, slowly, even more, connecting yourself right now, right here, in this moment, that will echo later on for you, whenever you want, when you tune back into this specific moment in this tour. Nijoni, beauty, beauty all around us.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. The meditations before this, the information, it holds energy. It asks you to participate. But when channeling is done, it opens a mini portal. That's what the channeling is, dear ones. The portal is not massive. It's not like some that you would open with groups. It's a minuscule one of connection, but it's a portal. And before I will do this, on this sacred land, in front of those perhaps who steward the land, before I will do that, I am going to ask permissions of the guardian of the canyon, those who have watched over this, who have watched over the stewards of the land, and have come before anyone else. I am going to ask permission for that portal. Sometimes it makes no difference to have a group come in and have a spiritual portal open and a channel given in most lands. But when you deal with these kinds of lands, you deal with that which is truly a beautiful hierarchy of stewardship of those who would honor this particular place and have for centuries. With that permission given, we can continue for the days that remain. And for those perhaps listening who know the Kryon work, you may say, well, we haven't really done that before much. And I will tell you, we've done it every single time it was needed. We are so aware of that which is here, which might not be in other places that we channel. Dear ones who are here, sitting before me on the rocks, this is a perfect scenario. You sit on sacred land, stewarded by those who are the ancients and the daughters and sons of the ancients, in a beautiful sunlit place where all around you is the glory of Gaia. It doesn't get much better. And for those of you who wish to open your hearts at this moment and listen, I wish to present to you something that I have presented for more than a year and a half. But now I want to qualify, quantify, explain perhaps a little more. This shift that this planet is in has been prophesied by these ancients. You are sitting in their prophecy. So this is not new to them. All that has transpired in these past few years, difficult that it might be, was anticipated by those who have followed the prophecies and know the land. And in this shift, there is something happening regarding the consciousness of humanity. We've told you now for 33 years to expect something that you didn't expect. Who would have thought that the old energy of the planet, which is still raising its head right now, that energy eventually would go and be supplanted or replaced by a softer energy of caring, of compassion. I'll call it a family energy that says we do not want war. A family energy that says, what is there that we have missed in that which we consider God, or that which comes from the love source, the creative source of all things? In other words, a consciousness that starts to advance itself in its own thinking. It raises itself to places it has never been before. This was the direct prophecy of the ancients all over the planet. And now you sit in that place. And in this, there are some new tools I'm going to call them tools. But what they are is new awarenesses for you. If you are going to be one that I call old soul graduates or ascended ones someday, your ancestors someday, if that's going to happen, and we have predicted that it will, there has to come a time when you become more multidimensional and less linear. The linearity is that which you experience every day of life in the 4 dimensions you live and work in. But the dimensions that you can start to work with, that are indeed the dimensionality of Earth, of Gaia, of the guardians here, of the canyon, those dimensions you can start to see. And what I mean by seeing is not with your eyes. It's with the senses that you have beyond your eyes. The ones that so many know are there. Ones represented by the third eye, the bindi mark, the pineal, and so many of those who would celebrate in song and dance, even here. It's a celebration of things that are greater than you can conceive of in 4D. I want to introduce you to the ability to communicate with your soul. In order to do that, a brief summary of what the soul might be. What do you think of when somebody speaks the word soul? In the modern day religion of the times of this land, not the land we sit upon, but the culture of the greater continent, a soul is something you receive at birth often. Somehow it is apart from you, but it's very much aware of you, because when you pass, somehow that soul then gets rewarded or punished. And that is the purpose of the soul. I will tell you, dear ones, that's the kindergarten of all thinking when it comes to spirit. How many of you can feel in the sunlight, in the wind, that there is a consciousness of the land right now that knows your name? That's because the land, Gaia, we call it, Pachamama, some call it, the love of the earth, is connected to the Creator. How could it not be? Everything you see around you was made at the same time. And dear ones, your soul was there to watch it. Your soul is the spiritual part of you, the God part of you. It is part of God. The creative source always existed, and with that creative source were trillions and trillions of that which were the source's partners, which we call souls. Did you know that? Were you ever told that? That makes the soul part of God. That makes you part of the Creator. When you come to this planet, all of that is hidden. As you begin the test of consciousness, which you are now in. But right now, you are in a crux that is going to change the planet very slowly. And in that, I invite you to meet your soul. And there will be those who ask how and what. And that is the subject of the channels in this great land. Wherever that takes us in this tour, these are the channels. The soul is accessible. In the circle of 12, we cross a bridge to get there. In the meditation of the partner Monica, it was the river that you crossed to take you there. There always is a barrier of thinking between 4 dimensions, practicality, and who you think you are to the next level. Some call it dream time. There are so many names that the indigenous will give it because they go there regularly. They go to that which is an upper world or an underworld to see things they need to see. There are so many stories of shamans which will then go to places, receive the information they need from that which is their spiritual soul, and come back and deliver their wisdom. Even that which is in the Old Testament, the metaphors are everywhere of this same property. Moses goes alone up the mountain to receive instructions. He is the shaman of that, his clan. It's everywhere, dear ones. And now we bring it home to you. Every single human being, old soul, has the ability to cross a bridge by themselves, if they choose to, and meet sections of their soul. This is the premise for the entire tour. And slowly I'm going to give you basic information about what is in your soul. Some of you already know, but I want you to understand it so greatly that you'll understand that it's not something separate from you any longer. That is what a higher consciousness brings, a higher connection to spirit, a higher connection to the land. It's an advancement, dear ones. And that higher connection, some have called a higher vibration, means more than just you sitting on a rock and singing. As some people say, that is what it is. It is not. It is far more spiritual, practical. It takes you someplace for a reason. If you're going to be in ascension status on this planet, you're going to have to understand a multi-dimensional connection, what the shamans know. And that is what we invite you to start understanding as we progress in this. It's going to sound a lot like Circle of 12, because we're going to ask you in every single lesson for your permission to go across a 4-dimensional bridge or barrier into a multidimensional place. And I'll describe it for you. You don't have to even imagine it. I'll tell you what's there. And I do that so that you will understand you can do it. And there are those who would sit and say, why? Beyond that, which is a higher consciousness of humanity, what happens to me? And that's where it gets good. Dear ones, it means longer life. It means more joy. It means understanding the not understandable. Have you ever sat and pondered why things are happening to you? Have you ever sat and pondered why things are happening to the earth the way they are? Have you ever sat and asked your own guides what's next because you're at a dead end? I'll tell you this, all of those answers are there for you. You become your own guide when you're in connection with your own soul. This is dramatic. It's more than was expected. It's controversial in metaphysics, and there will be those who tell you it's not possible, it never was possible. And if there are those around, I will tell them, it's time you read the prophecy of the ancients, because they told you it was coming. And it is. That's what to expect. And these, the few lessons to follow. What is there? What could possibly be there that can help you on your life? Healthy? Younger? All of these things are possible because you figure things out and you rest in the love that is there. If you know what's happening, you don't have anxiety or fear. And that's your soul telling you what's happening. Do you understand the premise? The deeper you go into that which is yourself and your own spirituality, the more you relax, the more you can laugh, the more you find yourself smiling for no reason, and you realize that there is truth when you hear, "Be still and know you are God." How would you like to have comfortable answers to difficult problems? That's available. We'll start that tomorrow. You're in a perfect place for this. Feel it, understand it, expect it. And lastly, this: if you're here, sitting on a rock, and you're saying, "This is a mystery to me. I really haven't done this much. I don't know where to begin." Here are my instructions. Number one, do you believe in the creative source? I think the answer would be yes. You call it God. Number two, do you believe a truth I've given you, that God, Spirit, knows who you are, and that there is angelic energies here on the rocks with you? Yes or no? Then here are your instructions. Dear Spirit, I'm in the dark. On some things, show me what it is I need to know. Take my hand and let's cross that bridge of knowledge together so I won't have to figure it out myself. And that's when the magic begins. It's called pure intent. You are heard. Definitely, you're heard. Gaia hears you now. Spirit hears you now. The guardians of the canyon, the ancients that have passed through here, they smile because you have just done what they know is possible. I am in Kryon, in love with humanity. And so it is.